Hey guys, Malzo here. We are looking at Pasha today. And a lot of people were asking for him after the Supex0 interview came out. Supex basically said, Pasha moves like a fucking bot. And I gotta agree, man. His movement is brutal. I just finished watching the Skadoodle demo. And huge difference between Skadoodle. Skadoodle's got some insane movement. And Pasha, not so much. He definitely isn't up there with he's not an average pro player in terms of movement. Like, his movement around the map really looks pretty bad. You can see he had some quick crosshair movement there, so I'm just going to slow that down and take another look. And I'm not sure if anything's going on here. It looks kind of weird. He's waving around back and forth a little bit, but he kind of moves his mouse around weird a lot. And Pasha's kind of regarded as one of those guys, almost like get right status, where he can't cheat. It's impossible. And here's a tweet, like Dan M tweeted that he might be on the gear again, and then the first reply is a guy saying, "Don't tell me you're going to look at Pasha. You don't get more legit than Pasha." And I really hate that type of attitude. Nobody in CSGO or any other, like baseball, football, whatever, nobody should be above scrutiny. And Pasha's included in that. Get right's included in that. And you should have no bias when looking at demos or reviewing somebody. Anything is possible from anybody. And anyways, this scene, Pasha shows some pretty bad positioning. I don't know if this is bad comms, but gets shot from drop here, and he's not even aware that they might be in drop.
And the match, we play against the JW and the company, and we lost 16-0.
Yeah.
And I know big, and I am 100% sure they are hacking because 100 because on party his teammate when we drank tell us they used the cheats. Yes,
Oh,
and it
really?
was true,
Oh.
very true.
That may be one of the reasons why people think Pasha, it's impossible for him to cheat. He is one of the few guys to actually kind of call out Fnatic and JW and company. And you can see in that video, he did not seem sarcastic. Gets a nice flash there. He kind of YOLOs up to the box, but he really trusted that flash to cover the cross to get under the box, and it worked well. There was an opper holding the angles, so the flash really pushed him off so he could get up to the box. I'm going to be showing a lot of long rounds with Pasha here. You can see this game it's not looking good for VP, and he tries to get a little sneaky here, but anyways, I show a lot of long rounds just so you can kind of get an idea of how he moves around the map. And like when he does 180s and stuff, he really like curves his mouse up and down quite a bit. It's kind of weird to watch, I thought, a little bit. But I think the long rounds are important for a player like Pasha, just so you can see, like, when he moves around the map and stuff like that, I mean, it's not really a debate at all. He fucking does not have near the same movement skill as other players. And he gets pop flashed in here. I really thought he was going to peek for the boost, because that's kind of how they do it. And earlier in the game, he actually peeked, but there was no one boost. I just didn't include that clip. You can see he's kind of wiggling up and down there. I don't think this clip is too much to worry about. Maybe, it's not conclusive or anything. When he came around the corner and peeked on the flash, I really thought like he would just look boost. And I'm kind of surprised to see he's so indecisive of where to look, I would have thought, clear the, you cleared the box or whatever, get to a better position, but instead he just kind of sits there and looks at two spots. Or you can cut that angle off a little bit and you could see the boosted player, and then cut yourself off so if somebody peeks you from the low side, you won't see them. That's just bad positioning in my opinion. There was nothing forcing him to look at two angles. He could have made a choice and positioned himself better to just look at one angle in that situation. And he chose to look at two, and it burnt him. This is a bit of a retake at A, and I got another large chunk of this round, and just so you can see the crosshair placement, it's really not that bad when he's moving around slowly. It gets a lot worse when he's moving around fast. And I gotta say, like, this whole demo, normally you see pros kind of bunny hop and strafe jump around for fun and stuff in random spots. I don't know if I saw Pasha do a single strafe jump, which is, I don't know, like, it's very weird for a pro player just to straight up not, build in kind of movement mechanics. And I don't think it necessarily means that someone's cheating. I think it kind of makes it fishy a little bit, but there's plenty of players, I would say Stewie's got really good movement, but I also think Stewie probably cheats. So it's not exactly, one thing doesn't necessarily mean the other thing is true, right? he could just be a pro player that doesn't give two shits about how he moves around the map, you know, and just focuses on aiming and stuff like that. You know, it's possible. But I do think it is something to kind of keep an eye on. He gets a few nice flicks here. He misses the easy shot as they walk in the site, and then he gets some nasty flicks. And I'm going to show his crosshair's kind of wiggling a little bit as he came around the APC. I thought, you know, it doesn't look like much in slow motion. I'll play it again in fast speed, but you can see as he's coming around the corner, his crosshair's really kind of wiggling. Then he flicks to the foot of the person on site, but I really don't think that's anything. Alright, watch how he comes around APC here. He's kind of wiggling. Is that? I don't know what that is. When he flicks right to the planter's feet, you know, that's absolutely nothing. The guy's already beeped with the bomb, so that kind of gives it away. And he gets left in a 1v1. He misses some fucking easy shots. And right at the end there, I was thinking, okay, maybe he hit an aim key before he peeked up and lined up well with him, because he does line up really well with him, but Adren is running the whole time, so that theory is out the window, and this is totally fine. To be able to line someone up that accurately with them running is totally reasonable in my opinion. So here, when he lines up Adren before he peeks up, you know, that's fine, I think. If Adren was walking, or, you know, if Pasha wasn't able to kind of formulate where he was, then maybe we'd have something to talk about, but I don't think it's anything. Alright, T-side pistol round, here we go. And, you know, I don't judge crosshair placement too bad when you're flying into sight like Pasha is here. Just because you're not going to be as accurate as you are when you go slowly. So, I mean, he doesn't look like a fucking all-star coming into sight or anything like that, but when you come in that slowly, or that fast, sorry, it really isn't that big of a deal. He had teammates in front of him anyways, so all the gunfights that he'd be reacting to, he could probably just play off his teammate's position and be able to line up really well anyways. He has a spot here, like that guy at long just peeked him, and he's shooting like he thinks he might be there, and then he walks with his fucking grenade out for like 5 seconds. I'm like, and he nades close corner, like if that's where he thought the guy was, where he naded, why would you keep your fucking grenade out for so long? I don't know, it seemed like the number one rule in CS is don't get caught with a fucking nade in your hand, and here he is walking up to a corner where he thought someone was and with a grenade in his hand for like 5 seconds. Pretty weird, but kind of goes back to, like, I don't know, maybe that you can include that into the bad positioning / non-intelligent play category, you know? Anyways, this is another one of those plays where I'm like, it really doesn't look like a pro player, you know, and kind of falls into the bad movement category. You're gonna see him throw a molly on stairs, and keep an eye on what he's cleared, right? Like, he hasn't really cleared much, and then he just runs with a nade out to stairs, and he hasn't cleared stairs at all. Luckily, he doesn't die or anything, but it just seemed weird to, you know, he's set up a molly, and then he's clearing new corners that haven't been cleared with a fucking grenade in his hand. And he didn't get punished for it or anything, but it's like, that's pretty bad play, and you don't even see that. You don't see that from fucking ESEA main players. That's a pretty bad flash. Yee. Whoops, flashed the fuck out of his entire team. And he gets into a Tech 9 fight. He lines up a little bit through the smoke here, but I don't think it's too bad. I mean, his team's getting spammed the fuck out of him, right? And it's a pretty decent lineup. I don't think that's a big deal. You know, every now and then you're gonna have pretty good lineups through the smoke, and I don't want to make a big deal out of them unless it happens more often than it should, you know. VP actually had some pretty nice strats this game. You're gonna see, like, they kind of have a default, an A loaded default. You know, they have 4 guys at A, 1 at B, spreading across the map, making it look like an A hit a little bit, and then after they, you know, make some noise, throw some nades, all that shit. I wonder if they even show the bomb here. Wow, Taz does show the bomb. What a fucking man, dude. So smart. After that, they fall back. They all run to B. So I'll just zip through here and show them running to B. But yeah, that's really cool that he showed the bomb at A, so that they would kind of rotate to A, and then they make all these footsteps, throw all these fucking nades at B, and then they just hightail it back. And look at the radar. Like, Gambit still have 4 alive, and they were all on B. They really bit this fake hard. And yeah, yeah, you don't see too many good fakes these days anymore. You can only kind of get away with it once in a while, you know. He gets a little bit of a fucked up thing here. Just that's the bomb glitch bug. It makes the crosshair kind of jitter like that. Whenever the bomb gets planted, crosshair and GoTV just fucking goes bananas for a split second. So I just figured I'd show it again, and I don't think it's anything to worry about. All right, 13-8 for Gambit, and you know, from an Overwatch perspective, you would think you would start seeing some shit right about now, I guess. You know, if Pasha was cheating, he'd want to bring it back. Although this isn't an elimination game or anything, but you can tell that they're not in a comfortable position. And he hits a fucking shot there. It seemed like a nice fast shot. I'll do a reaction time measurement on that after this clip. And he comes into sight and he unloads a bullet here. What the fuck? That was kind of weird. I don't know if he accidentally clicked or didn't have time to zoom, or I don't know what the fuck happened there, but so this shot, not quite as fast as I thought it was. It was 34 ticks or 265 milliseconds. Still a really nice shot. Like, he just shot the fucking, like, the elbow pad. It was a pretty good shot for sure. So I talked about some bad movement from Pasha and some bad plays, and this play is pretty bad too, in my opinion. It's really quick. I'm just going to slow it down so you can look at it again. Why is he holding such a far angle? Like, he sees them towards drop, and then he sees the guy runs behind cover, and then he holds that angle like he has a deagle or something. Like, you can't really do that with a Tech 9, dude. You gotta hide a little bit, let him get closer, and shoot. Like, if he had a deagle, that would make a bit more sense, but for him to just stop there and hold that angle with a Tech 9, like, that's a pretty bad play. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overcritical, but like I said, that's really not what the Tech 9's made for, dude. You're not gonna hit those long range shots like that. This was a cool strat. They were gonna pinch into B. They had some guys go long B, and then they rushed up mid, and they were gonna pinch into B. And then they kind of realized that both of the players were still in B, so they took A for free. And Pasha gets left in a 1v1 with the game on the line, and it all looked fine. I mean, nothing crazy, nothing obvious, anyways. You could argue about the aim here. It's a little jittery, but it's hard to tell on GoTV whether an aimbot's being activated. It's hard enough to tell with a fucking POV demo. It's even harder to tell on GoTV. Alright, last round here. And I got a good chunk of it in here again, just so you can kind of watch it and appreciate it. Got my red dot going there. For all the people wondering, I add it in the video editing. I don't actually play with that on there. It's like a quick 180 and kind of lines up with that guy, but I don't know. His 180s are fucking weird. They're so curved, and not like it happens all the time, even when there's nobody around him. He gets a pretty insane round here. Mo gets left out to dry there by his team, and he hits a fucking shot on Hobbit, and that'll wrap up the game. I really did. I was surprised, and it's something you can't really appreciate on the broadcast, just how bad someone's movement is, you know, because you only see them for a split second on the broadcast. You don't really get a chance to watch how they move around the map the entire time. And when you look at their in-eye view with the GoTV demo, it really shows kind of their movement skills and stuff like that. And like I said earlier, people can kind of argue, you know, I argue it too sometimes, when a pro player is amazing at hitting shots, yet when they move around the map, they look like a fucking bot. I think that's pretty weird. I think it's suspicious, but it doesn't necessarily mean someone's cheating. And I think it's possible that, you know, he just doesn't care about his movement, right? Like, there's lots of pro players that don't care about different aspects of the game. Like, ask a pro player what the fucking, how much they're gonna get when a bomb explodes versus when it's just planted, versus like if they lost 2 rounds. Like, a lot of pro players don't know the exact money amount because they don't really give a shit. And it's kind of the same with movement, right? Like, if Pasha doesn't care about movement, maybe he'll never be good at it. But I don't think you can necessarily say that means he's cheating. I think it just means that he stands out, right? Because most pro players move around a lot better than him. And even pro players that I think are cheating, like Stewie2K. Stewie2K's got really, really good movement. But I think he cheats. So it's not exclusive, you know. Just because someone has good movement doesn't mean they don't cheat. Just because someone has bad movement doesn't mean they cheat either. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you next time. See ya.